Hey guys, it's Ina and today I'd like to tell you how I got married in Hong Kong and what kind of paperwork would be needed. As you may know, I'm from Russia and my husband is from Sweden, and it's not that easy to get married, especially abroad when both of you are of different nationalities. You need to collect a lot of paperwork and it's not that easy as you may think it is. So firstly, we tried to get married in Sweden and I was lacking the single certificate because the Russian embassy in Sweden does not really provide that paperwork. And the only paper I could get that I stated by myself that I was single, and they just notarized and authenticated my signature. And that was not enough, and my visa expired and I had to go back to Russia, and I collected all of the necessary papers. And by the way, if you're not living in Moscow, it's a really pain in the ass because you have to go to 4 or 5 different city halls, and after you go to the central city hall, finally obtain the paper, and after you need to go to another place to put in an apostille, kind of a legalization stamp that is valid for most European countries. So it was really not easy and not that expensive and not that cheap. And basically a month later, both of us, we came to China to work, and China does not really support apostille systems, so we had to do notary legalization to legalize all of those papers. And the worst thing that they're valid only for like 3 to 6 months, though basically by the time when we were actually wanted to get married, they were not valid. So we actually went to the city hall in China and we asked about the proper paperwork, and we were told the same: we need single certificates. And they said that the paper that you can obtain those papers from local embassies and they will be okay, valid. But Swedish embassy did not provide that kind of paper by that time, so we were basically screwed. And we almost gave up that idea, but we actually heard that some of our friends got married in Hong Kong, and another couple, they were actually planning of doing that, and we were like, okay, let's tag along and maybe it will work out. So the necessary steps. Step 1 is you just go to the governmental website of Hong Kong and you find the marriage column there. And you just write a request, an email request that, okay, it's me and I'd like to get married to this person, and that's it. So they reply to you and they will send you the link for the questionnaire that you have to print out. You have to fill in some information. And only one of the partners should do it. In my case, it was me, so I just signed my name and date of birth, occupation, the same for my future husband, future spouse, and about our parents. We also had to tick some boxes about that we've never been married, that we've never changed our family names, because none of us did it, so it was perfect. After that, you sign the paper and you need to go to any notary public to notarize the signature. So it should be, the notary public needs to authenticate that the signature belongs to me. So if it's a little bit complicated for them to do that, you can just fill all of the papers and sign it in front of him or her, and that's it. After that, you need to go to the bank and buy a special kind of check. I forgot the name of it, but I will actually I will write the proper name below. You go to bank and you just buy that check and you collect all the papers. It's again that questionnaire is the paper from the notary public and the check, and you send it via the courier service to Hong Kong. It could be DHL, FedEx, EMS, whatever you have, it's fine. After they will receive the papers, basically you'll be given some time. You just need to wait until your wedding day, and in that questionnaire you also mark the day when you want to get married. So while I was actually signing those papers, that questionnaire, I was not really sure what date should I pick for my wedding, because I was not sure how smoothly would the process go, what if it would be any delay and so on, bureaucracy. So I was really scared, and I picked a date maybe a month or month and a half later from my actually desirable date. But I think they give you only 2 months span, so you can't really plan way ahead. So The next step is just to fly to Hong Kong, and that's the thing. You need to arrive to Hong Kong and go to the central office the day prior to your wedding. So for example, your wedding is on Tuesday, so you have to be in the office on Monday. But be aware, if your wedding day is on Monday, you have to be at the office on Friday. So the week before, on Friday. Basically, you go to the office and they ask you some questions, they check your passport, and after that they give you like a plate with some, I don't remember really, some sentences in English. So the future spouse, the husband, the husband has to the groom, he has to read those sentences. It's basically like a wow, and that's it. The next day you need to show up at the city hall with 2 witnesses, and you just pay the fee, and witnesses must have passports or IDs, and you just pay the fee and the ceremony begins and you get your marriage certificate, and that's it, and you're free. So the key question is how to get witnesses. So if you decided to get married in Hong Kong, maybe your family is actually far away, and if it's really problematic for you to collect all of the necessary paperwork in the country where you live in, it means that maybe you don't have those witnesses. So we had some friends in Hong Kong, but unfortunately they were working and they couldn't really take a day off to attend our wedding. And actually it was like, in the middle of the day at 11 a.m. It's not even lunchtime, so they couldn't really go. And we had some other friends, but they had some visa issues, so their passports were at the embassies. So it was not that easy. So I was actually browsing on different forums, and I was asking even like a local church if they could help me, and almost everywhere I got like no. And only one guy, I'm really grateful to that guy, he agreed to be our witness, but we were still like lacking one person. So we asked our friends to ask around, maybe someone wants to come and just earn my alarm. So maybe someone wanted to come and really earn some money, and we were actually willing to pay. And at the end we found a girl and her mother, and they agreed to be our witnesses. And I think we promised them like 500 yuan per person. And it was, I would say, a little bit more than we actually could give them. We could give like, I'm pretty sure, even like 200 yuan per person or even 100 yuan per person. But when your wedding is in stack and you don't want to risk your wedding, why not to be just not to play safe? Better safe than sorry. This is like was a tactic that my husband and I chose, and we do not regret at all. So if you've ever been married before, so you need and you want to get married again, so you need to present the divorce certificate. I'm not really sure if you have to kind of legalize or put an apostille in it. I bet not, because usually they kind of, in other countries, they request single certificates, and they should be like with proper stamps, translation, and so on. And in Hong Kong, I guess just like the regular paper in English or translated in English would be fine. A very important question is actually legalization and the ability to use that paper, the marriage certificate, later in your life, depending on the circumstances in the country where you live. And it really depends on the agreements between Hong Kong and your country. I just know that in most of the cases the apostille would be enough, and you can do it pretty easily at the Ministry of Justice. The other thing, like if you live in countries like Vietnam or China, maybe they don't really accept apostille, and you need to do proper legalization, and that could be a little bit tricky and maybe a little bit more expensive. So in my case, for Sweden, we just took our marriage certificate, we brought it to the embassy, they just took a copy, they checked my husband's passport, and that's it. 2 weeks later, like, we were in the system. It was actually written that, stated that he was married to my name, and there was the date. For Russian embassy, for Russia, it was a little bit more different. We actually didn't have much time to do the proper work, like paperwork by ourselves in Hong Kong. It's a little bit expensive to be there, like compared to, let's say, China. So we decided just to go back, and we hired an attorney, and he did everything for us. Actually, she. So she ordered the copy of our marriage certificate online at the city hall, and she paid for it. To order the certificate, you don't need any power of attorney, nothing like that. So basically, she just typed in the date of our wedding, our names, and I think the serial number of our marriage certificate. That's it. So she put an apostille, and after she did translation, she translated into Russian language, and she did legalization in the Russian embassy. So for us, it was enough. But for some maybe other countries, maybe it will be more complicated. The process could be more complicated depending, like maybe the language is more rare, or I don't know, there could be some issues. And I would say don't really worry. You can always find someone online who will do it for you, and in many cases it is cheaper and it is easier to let a professional do the job. Because if we would have stayed like in Hong Kong to finish our paperwork, it would take us, I would say, in the shortest, it will be maybe like 5 days or 4 days. And you just need to calculate all of the expenses, like living expenses, food, the transport, like accommodation, the paperwork, and maybe you want to do something else. So if you have time for that, here we go. If you don't have time, you want to save some money, just go back to your country and they will do everything. So the legalization for Russia, it was the full consular legalization and apostille, and also she sent all of the paperwork by courier service to China, like central China. It costed me like 1,300 yuan. Many people actually, when I've spoken to them about wedding, like and getting married in another country, in Hong Kong, they were really skeptical, especially people from my country. They was like, oh, are you an idiot? What if you need to get divorced, blah, blah, blah. And actually, I don't know how difficult is it to get divorced like in other countries, but in Russia, if you actually got married to a foreigner, it's pretty easy. Usually, like if you get married to a foreigner and he or she does not live in the country, you just go to police and you file them, like you can find them, so they need to search for him or her, and basically it takes like half a year to a year, and usually they don't even try to find someone. So after a year they give you a paper that this person was not found in Russia, and you go to the city hall and there you go, you get your divorce papers. Pretty easy and pretty, I would say it's not painful at all. And here is our little mini Dusha, our little Vietnamese cat. She's a fully grown cat. She's like about 2 years old, and her name is Marduk. So Marduk, what would it say there? What would it say? Don't give up on your dreams?